Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I know I haven't made a video on this channel for a very long time. It's been a few years now, but I'm very excited to be starting to make videos again. And I thought, what better way to relaunch the channel than by doing a video with two of my most favorite things, baking and books. So I thought it would be a fun idea to bake with you and chat through some of my favorite books that I've been reading recently. So if that sounds like a fun idea to you, grab a cup of tea, a snack, get cozy, and let's get baking. Okay, so today we're gonna be making my grandma's famous banana chocolate chip muffins. And I recently, in the last 3 years, went vegan, so I've actually successfully veganized this recipe, so I'm excited to be sharing that with you. So what we'll need for these muffins is 3 large ripe bananas, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, egg replacer. I need to grab that. So I use the Bob's Red Mill egg replacer, but you can also use a flaxseed egg, which you would just do a tablespoon of flaxseed meal and mix that with a bit of water until it kind of gets a little bit thickened. I haven't actually tried, but a lot of baking recipes you can actually just omit the egg altogether, but I always use my egg replacer. 1.5 cups of flour. I got my big jar of flour here. A teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. And 1/3 of a cup of melted margarine. You can use whatever margarine or vegan butter that you have. And a cup of chocolate chips. Yeah, so the first step is to mash the bananas. That was really loud. So you probably also noticed that I did change the name of this channel, and I changed the branding as well. I'm doing a bit of a relaunch, and it's now called Meg's Cozy Corner. And I'm going to be making videos on all things cozy, so that includes baking and cooking and books and art, DIYs, a lot of the same stuff that I used to make videos about, but just kind of like more all-encompassing lifestyle stuff, and pretty much just whatever I feel like filming a video about. So I'm very excited about it. Got my handy dandy masher. I pretty much only use this for making banana muffins. Nice and mashed, and then you want to add the sugar and the eggs. So I wanted to chat through kind of some of my favorite books, what I've been reading recently. Last year I didn't read as much as I wanted to, and this year I set the goal to read 20 books. I'm actually already on my 9th book, so I'm killing it so far, if I do say so myself. I guess I can start with the book that I'm currently reading, which I'm enjoying. And some of you may have heard about because it is making the rounds on BookTube and TikTok and Bookstagram. That is Legends and Lattes, and I feel like this is really appropriate because we're baking today, and there's so much baking goodness in this book. I think they market it as like high fantasy with low stakes, which I'm only about just over halfway through, but I can attest that that is very accurate. So the concept is that it's an orc named Viv, and they have had a lifetime of battles and fighting, and they're just ready to slow down, do something different, and Viv decides to move to a new town and open up a coffee shop. And it's just the process, going through the process of like setting up the shop, deciding what it's going to look like inside, deciding what the menu's going to be, and there's lots of really nice descriptions of like baking cinnamon buns and making lattes. The book is very cozy, very chill, very easy read. I'm enjoying it so far. And the book that I read right before Legends and Lattes was actually a library book, so I don't have it with me, but I'll insert the cover somewhere here. But it was called Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting. I don't really read a lot of just straight fiction stories, like contemporary kind of fiction. The concept for this one was it's a bunch of people that take the same commute on the train in London, and nobody ever usually talks to each other, but then one day something happens that requires like kind of people to interact and their lives kind of intertwine. And it is written from multiple perspectives, which I don't often gravitate towards in a book, but in this case it really worked well, and I think all the characters were very well developed, and overall it just made me think a lot about how if we just open ourselves up, like there's so much opportunity to be connected with people that you would never expect to be in your life. So next I'm gonna add the flour, and then I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. And I'm also gonna add just a pinch of salt as well. So I've got some right here. Insert Salt Bay meme here. Then the last ingredient before the chocolate chips is the margarine. So I'm just gonna grab that from the fridge and we're gonna melt it. So I'm using my favorite Basil vegan margarine. This is pretty accessible now. I find it in most regular grocery stores, here in Canada at least. I've also really gotten into the cozy murder mystery kind of genre recently in the last year or so, I'd say. And I was introduced to that genre by Richard Osman's books, Thursday Murder Club, and its 2 sequels. It's so good, so like compulsively readable. It's a group of people that are living in a retirement village, and they start a club called the Thursday Murder Club. They start looking at cold cases, thinking through like, oh, could they solve these cases? And then one day, someone's murdered at their retirement village, and then they take it upon themselves to start trying to solve the murder. The characters, again, in this one are just so lovable, and I love their dynamics, and their story are just so well written, and the 2 sequels are equally as good, and there's another one coming this year, so I definitely recommend if you're looking for something that's very bingeable, very easy to read, with a bit of mystery in it, but not too much gore or like graphic stuff like that. And a cozy mystery that I more recently read is this one, which is called Finley Donovan is Killing It. And this one is a funny concept. It is a single mom. She's an author. She is having a meeting with her editor in a restaurant, and they're talking about how to kill off a character in her book. And someone in the restaurant overhears their conversation and misunderstands, thinking that she's actually a hit woman. So she leaves a note in the main character's purse, and she finds it later, and she's offered her a large sum of money to kill her husband. It's just funny how things kind of play out, and almost by accident sometimes. And yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail without to spoil anything, but this was a really fun, quick read as well. Okay, so I've melted my butter and I've let it cool just for a few minutes, and now I'm going to add that into the rest of my batter here. And I know I didn't mention it before, but I always like to add just a splash of vanilla extract as well. And last but not least, the most important ingredient, in my opinion, chocolate chips. So I usually get semi-sweet chocolate chips, and a lot of the time they're just accidentally vegan, which is awesome. It's about a cup, but I just kind of eyeball it. I'm just gonna preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got my muffin tin ready to go. To prep my tin, you could use like muffin liners, but I like to just grease the pan because it's less waste. Another book that I recently read, I've got it right here actually, is called Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. This book, honestly, I bought it and I had it on my shelf for quite a while because it was a little bit intimidating to me. It's a bit of a chonker. So it took me a while to start reading it, and then honestly when I did start reading it, it took me a while to properly get into it. It had a bit of a slow start. It's this man and his new wife. They've just been married and they're going on their honeymoon to the Tower of Babel. It's been kind of marketed to them their entire lives as this amazing, incredible place, and it's going to be really luxurious and amazing. And once they get there, they take a train and then they get to the base of the tower, and they quickly realize that it's not what they always thought it was, and it's a very busy market at the base of the tower, and they very quickly get separated. He slowly makes his way up the different levels of the tower, and there's a lot of chaos that ensues. The majority of this story is really about the main character's kind of progression as a person, and it's a really great book if you're looking for really descriptive adventure kind of fantasy vibes and great character development. These are all ready to go. So now I'm going to pop them into the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. I usually check around 12 minutes and just go from there. And now we wait. There's one more book that I wanted to chat to you about, and that is The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. And this book is about her kind of journey learning about the octopus, and it's kind of formatted into 4 parts, and she has interactions with 4 different octopuses. And one thing I did learn from this book that the plural is octopuses, not octopi. I just really love this book. I have also recently started scuba diving and was really lucky on one of my very first dives to encounter an octopus in the wild, and it was just such a magical experience. And ever since, I've kind of been a little bit obsessed with octopuses. I really liked the writing style and how personal it was, and just learning about her interactions with each of the octopuses and how their personalities were so different. I guess I may as well show you some of the books that I'm really excited to read next. These are some of the books that I've picked up recently that I'm excited to get to in the near future. This one, as you probably know if you've been watching my channel at all, I love Harry Potter, so I of course had to pick up Tom Felton's new memoir, Beyond the Wand. So I'm very excited to read this one. I don't really know much about it. I've heard that it's great, so just very excited to learn more about Tom. Another one I picked up is a classic, which I haven't read very many classics, I have to admit, but it's The Phantom of the Opera. And I picked this one up because I love musical theater. I used to do musical theater when I was a kid, and I love going to see live performances. And The Phantom of the Opera is my dad's favorite musical. I've yet to see it because I haven't been in a city where it was touring, but I hope to see it in the near future. But I thought it would be great to read the book, and it's very short, and so excited to dive into that one. This one I'm very excited about. It's by an author that I love, Becky Chambers. So Becky Chambers wrote the book A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which if you haven't read it, I would definitely recommend it. It's probably what I would call cozy sci-fi, but this is a new series by Becky Chambers. This first one is called A Song for the Wild Built. And my understanding, I don't know a lot about it, but it is about a tea monk and a robot, and it's kind of set in a post-apocalyptic version of Earth, but what I've seen from the reviews is that it's a very kind of hopeful interpretation of that future, and it's also another really short, quick read. So also look at the cover, it's just beautiful. And this last book I actually picked up on a whim. I hadn't heard anything about it, but I was in a bookstore and it kind of stood out to me, and I picked it up and I was like, that sounds really fun. So this one is called The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Cowell. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. It sounds like a murder mystery on essentially a space cruise ship. And also what I really liked about it is that every chapter starts with a cocktail recipe, which I thought was super fun. So if nothing else, I just get some good cocktail recipes out of this. Yeah, so those are the books that I've read recently and that are coming up on my TBR. I'd love to hear what books you've read and loved recently, what books you're currently reading, what books do you think I should read. drop them down in the comments below. I'm always looking for new books. Right now I'm definitely on the murder mystery, kind of cozy mystery vibes, cozy sci-fi, cozy fantasy, pretty much just anything cozy apparently. My hair is so long, I desperately need a haircut. They look pretty good. You want them to be nice and golden brown. I'm just gonna set them there to cool for a couple minutes before I take them out of the pan. I love this recipe because they're so soft and fluffy and just delicious. So let's give it a taste test. You can still see that steam. Can you see that? Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you try out this recipe down below. I'll leave the ingredients list in the description box. And let me know what you think of them. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I've been chatting about. Let me know what you thought of them. Let me know if you got any book recommendations for me. And like I said, I'm gonna be making loads more cozy content. So if that sounds up your alley, make sure to click the subscribe button. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be back making videos, being creative, and yeah, I'll see you very soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.